What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Thursday War Room Live. I'm your host, Jay Felicio. You can find me on Twitter at GMNJ. And with me, as always, is my man, Dan Turner. You can find him on Twitter at EagleDanFF. What's going on, Dan? You doing all right tonight?
I am doing fantastic.
Yeah, I know you're already moving insufferable with the Eagles taking down the Saints. So it's us as a Cowboys fan and Giants fan do not want to hear that, but it is what it is. But with us tonight, we have a great guest. You've seen her all over Twitter. Works with Fighting Chance Fantasy, the fantasy footballers. Casey Kasem, appreciate you hopping on with us. Tell everybody where they can find you.
For sure. I appreciate you guys having me on, for starters. It's real dope. I like your setup, like what's going down. You guys can find me on Twitter at DKCKsome. That's about it.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Well, thank you for coming on with us. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Too bad we didn't have a Washington football team fan, and then we could have done a whole NFC East thing.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun.
But we don't want to hear. They're probably going to win anyway, so we get some junk from them. So if this is your first time tuning in, our priority first and foremost is your viewer questions. We do have some other topics to discuss, but number one, we want to answer your questions. So feel free, drop questions in the chat. We've got a couple of questions that we've got from Twitter. We normally throw out a tweet from the Going for Two Live Twitter page on Wednesdays and Thursdays asking for questions. So keep an eye out for that when we kick back up in January, and that's a perfect time discuss how things are going to go. Dan, do you want to take over and explain to everybody what's going to happen with us once we start back up in January?
All right, so the website is going through a major redesign. I think it actually launched today. And when we come back in January, we're actually going to be a rebranded show. Our new show name is going to be A Podcast with Upside. So we're all really excited. We have hired a bunch of great new people to come write for us. We're going to revamp our entire lineup of shows. So there are a lot of really exciting things going on at Going for Two.
Yeah, and we're going to start back on January 14th, and we're going to push back an hour. So we're going to be at 8 o'clock every other Thursday. And we'll be tweeting all this out, but just wanted to bring some information to you guys and let you know that this is our last show of the season. And we are going to kick off, take a little break, spend the holidays with the family and come back in January refreshed and ready to roll with the new show. So without further ado, we'll hop into the first question. We got a question from Marty Beamer Cleaner on Twitter, a friend of the show. He wants to know, PPR, if Mostert starts, would you go with Mostert or Damian Harris? And Casey, we'll start with you on this question.
Oh man, the Mostert question, that's man, because they're playing, it's the Dallas defense that is I think I might go lean Mostert. I mean, to me it's pretty close, but that Dallas defense, and I being a Dallas Cowboys fan, witnessing it firsthand every single week is just so depressing. But yeah, I've got Mostert, and if he plays, I think I'm sticking him in there.
Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with Mostert. Damian Harris has a really tough matchup against the Dolphins, and New England's offense hasn't really been clicking the last couple of weeks. And if Mostert starts, Dallas' run defense has been pretty bad. So if he's healthy enough to go, then I would definitely lean his way.
Yeah, and two, one thing that first off, I don't trust New England Patriot running backs, and second, Cam Newton's a goal line back. So even if they get in the red zone, it's likely he's going to get the touchdown. So for me, as bad as the defense is in Dallas and having Cam Newton back there, I'm definitely going to go with the Mostert side myself. And we've got another question from Twitter from Luke, Socratic Theory. PPR wants to start one out of CeeDee Lamb, Miller, J.D. McKissick, Zach Moss, or Phillip Lindsay. For me, I'm pretty much getting rid of Miller, Moss, and Phillip Lindsay, and it'd be between Lamb and McKissick for me. If Alex Smith was in there, maybe I would consider McKissick, but I'm going to go, even with the red rifle back there, I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb simply for the upside. And he hasn't really been, out of all the wide receivers, he hasn't been significantly impacted like Michael Gallup has with Dalton back there. So Casey, with being the resident Dallas fan on the show tonight, what do you think?
I'm going to put my money on, actually, I don't, this pains me to say it, but J.D. McKissick has been that back that that Chris Thompson type guy that's, touching the football consistently. That's who I'd go with. The Lamb situation scares me just because Amari got what he got, but Lamb's not getting fed like we'd like. So I think I'm just going to take a shot on J.D. McKissic and hope he's consistent like he has been.
Dan, what you think?
I'm going to agree with Casey. I think it's McKissic. CeeDee Lamb is obviously the more talented player, but you just don't know how the targets are going to be distributed in Dallas against a pretty decent defense. And I believe Washington's facing the Seahawks, and their defense hasn't been that great against the running back. So even if they expect them to go down early because Metcalf is probably going to have like 1,000 yards, so you can expect McKissic to be in there catching a bunch of double passes and just racking up the PPR points.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're 2-1. We got McKissic and Lamb. Take that for what you will. We do have a question from the chat from our guy Eric. Is it worth firing out Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, or are they just decoys? We were talking about this before the show. Casey, I will let you go first. Do you think it's worth starting either one of these guys?
God, okay, so the problem here, yes, we know playoffs and what we have on the line. And if you have a better option, not that you'd have a better option than Keenan Allen, but if Keenan Allen is, if you have somebody, you wouldn't be asking this question. No, but I think I would probably put Keenan in just because it's Keenan Allen, and I'd feel really horrible if he blew up on my bench, and then whoever I had taking over spot. If he doesn't blow up on the bench, if he doesn't blow up in your starting roster, sorry.
Yeah, and I'm with you there too. Keenan Allen's the type of guy that, unless they specifically say he's only going to play X amount of snaps, he's in that upper tier where I'm starting him if he's in the lineup. I'm just not taking that chance of him blowing up. And you do have a little bit of advantage too, this being a Thursday game. So if he does go out and put out a dud, then okay, well, I need to go with a little more upside when it comes to the Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games. Mike Williams, they already said he's on a snap count and was looking doubtful. I would not play him. You could definitely find some, he's already a boom bust option. And if he's getting limited snaps, there's no way I'm throwing him in my lineup. What you think, Dan?
I think that, it's the age old fantasy rule. You got to play your studs. If Keenan Allen is healthy, you got to put him in there. Cause if you put him on the bench for a lesser option and he goes off, you're literally never going to forgive yourself. So I'd rather lose with the guy I drafted high to play that position than take a chance on someone that probably isn't going to perform.
Right. Like if it's a shallow league and you've got an option, I'd go with that. But like you said, Casey, if you're asking this question, very likely don't have another option. So got another question from YouTube from our guy, Marty. McKissic or Christian Kirk. Thanks a lot, Marty. And he's making fun of me, Casey, a couple weeks ago. We had a question. I accidentally called Christian Kirk Cousins. So these guys won't let that joke die. So I would do the same to him. So
I've done that as well. So you're not the only person. Being an NFC East fan, it's kind of like that's the first thing you think of when you hear Kirk. So
exactly. Yeah, one of my best friends is a Washington fan too. So I was used to give him crap about Kirk Cousins. So it's easy for me to do. So McKissic or Christian Kirk, and Dan, we'll start with you on this one.
I'm going to go Christian Kirk. Just because the Eagles secondary has been completely decimated we're out our top two corners and a safety probably. We're starting someone named Kayvon Seymour, who I've literally never heard of. We probably just got him off the street. So, it's going to be a bloodbath. Even though I understand Kyler Murray's shoulder is probably hurt, but it isn't going to take much to dial up some, especially if Kurt gets some slot snaps. There's a really good chance he's gonna break out this game and rack up those points. So in this case, I would go with Kirk against the no-name Eagles secondary.
Casey, McKissic or Kirk?
I'm gonna go with McKissic on this one. I like McKissic's who he's playing. I like the fact that he's playing Seattle. Like Dan said, they are not that great against running backs, and on top of that, Christian Kirk, as of late, he hasn't been putting up the fantasy points that you've been wanting, especially knowing that he can do it. So I think, I'd lean McKissic.
Yep, and I'm going to agree with you, Casey. Ever since Kyler Murray's shoulder's been hurt, Christian Kirk has kind of fell off, and he's been the big play guy. When Hopkins has been double teamed, and he's been able to take advantage. And against your Cowboys was one of his biggest games when he was able to go off. So for me, I'm going to take the safety of McKissic. He's going to have a solid floor, and like you guys have said, he's still got a pretty high upside with the matchup. So for me, I'm going to go McKissick, not Kirk Cousins, excuse me. I'll get a question from Matty Daddy, a good friend of mine on Twitter. Watson versus the Colts or Carr versus the Chargers tonight? Do I put my seatbelt on and get in Carr or get in the car? 4-point passing touchdowns. So Watson versus the Colts or Carr versus the Chargers? Casey, we'll go with you on this one first.
Here we go again. That situation right there is it looks like it's blatantly obvious that you would go with Watson, right? Like that's the first thing that comes to your mind is it's Watson. But this matchup, Carr versus the Chargers, I think it's going to be a big scoring game. I think it's going to be one of those games where Carr's going to have to throw the football. And sadly, I think I would go Carr in this situation, even though I don't want to admit it.
Dan, what you think?
Yeah, I'm going Carr. People want to associate Watson, but basically his entire receiving core is hurt as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Colts defense has been very, very good this year, even with people with teams that have their full complement of receivers. So while Watson may be the better player, I think in this situation, Carr's going to have to throw the ball. And the emergence of Nelson Aguilar as an actual wide receiver in Vegas has been
Eagles fan to say that.
Yeah.
It kills me, but he won a Super Bowl, so I'm fine. But I think it's going to be Carr would be the better choice between those two options.
Yeah, and it's going to be a clean sweep for me. I'm going to go with Carr over Watson. Like you said, Casey, at first instinct, you're like, why is that even a question? You're going to Deshaun Watson, but you guys said it. He's got no weapons, and even when he did have his weapons, 2 weeks ago they played, and he only scored 19 fantasy points. He did have 340 yards, but he had 0 touchdowns. So with the situation, I could see, I feel like I've been saying this every week, but I could see Henry Ruggs having a big game tonight too. The Chargers defense is not very good. So right now he's got better weapons with Ruggs, with Aguilar, with Renfro, Darren Waller. I'm definitely going Carr, no question. And I got a question from David Webb from Facebook. He's asking if he should play Keenan Allen tonight. He also has Aguilar or Jeff Wilson Jr. And Matty Daddy said he just put on his seatbelt, and I will not say that word after that. I can't say those 2 words.
Go Cowboys. That's what it says. Yeah.
That's fine. You can say that.
Go Cowboys. Maybe not this year. Don't go Cowboys this year so we can get a good draft pick and continue to have the good draft pick. So no go Cowboys right now.
Thank you. Some people will get so mad when you say stuff like that. You're not a true fan. You don't want your team to win. No, I want what's best for my team in the long term.
I want to win at some point, but I need to have the weapons to win, and I can't get those if I am, middle of the pack every year.
I want to lose in the first round and get, lose out on that top 10 blue chip type of guy. So, Dan, you smile because you think the Giants are going to win the division. I see you over there.
Oh, I know they are. I don't have to think. I know they are.
Well, back to the question from David Webb. So Keenan Allen, would you risk Keenan Allen when you have an option like Aguilar or Jeff Wilson Jr. in PPR? Dan, what do you think?
I'd still play Allen. I think Ags might have a good game with Carr throwing. I think the last time that these 2 teams played, he had a really good game. But I mean, Allen is just too big of a talent for me to sit. So it's close. I think it would be a no-brainer if Allen was completely healthy, but I still have to lean his way. Also, real quick, Ruggs is out today because he was put on the COVID list. So don't play him.
I mean, never mind. I hope you're not playing. I hope you weren't playing.
If you're already playing Ruggs, you're probably not in a good position anyways. But just in case, Dan breaking some news over here. Ruggs is out tonight. We need that little siren or something like that.
How do you feel about Garrett having COVID? Jason Garrett.
I'm excited because I would rather, at this point, I would rather have Freddie Kitchens and Jason Garrett. It's as sad as that makes you want to throw up having to say that, but it'll be nice to see, even though it's going to be Colt McCoy, them throw the ball further than 7 yards. So we'll see. Maybe it's a Freddie Kitchens revenge game against the Browns.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes. And our guy Marty, again, those are the words that I cannot speak, but Marty agrees with you. He is a Cowboys fan as well.
Groovy.
So let's see. Oh, we still got the other question we got to finish up. So Casey, what do you think? Would you go with Keenan Allen or one of the other two options in Aguilar or Jeff Wilson?
I think I have to go Allen here. I mean, same reasoning, basically. I mean, it's Keenan Allen, and I think that I would just, feel really bad with him on the bench and him going off. But at the same time, if he doesn't go off and just be like, whoa, I was so shocked. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, just, hopefully you can do that and you don't lose too much money because of it.
Right. Yeah, and I'm with you guys too. I wouldn't consider Jeff Wilson just for, one, Mostert might play. Two, it's the 49ers backfield. Shanahanigans, he's going to play games, even though just when you think, it's like the Patriots, just when you think, who the starting running back's going to be, he's going to pull somebody out of their hat and start them. So I seriously consider Aguilar. I think he's going to have a good game, especially with this matchup. I think I was reading that the Chargers have a couple guys down in their secondary. So I do like the matchup for Aguilar, but like we've said this entire show, it's Keenan Allen. Unless he is, it's guaranteed that he's only going to play X amount of snaps. He's in that tier for me that I'm starting just no matter what. Got a question from Jason Nestor. He's been appreciate you watching again, Jason. He's been on a lot with us, so thanks for tuning in, friend of the show. He said, good evening. Tough choice this week. Which running back do I sit? Montgomery versus Minnesota, Akers versus the Jets, or Mike Davis versus Green Bay, full PPR? That is funny. If you'd asked that question, say, 4 or 5 weeks ago, that would have not been a very good question, but all three of those guys are playing great right now. So, Dan, we'll start with you on this one. Out of those three, Montgomery, Akers, or Mike Davis, who are you going to sit?
This is a tough one. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's just really hard. They're all coming off really good games. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably have to sit Davis. I think you can't sit Akers because it seems that he's finally gotten the lead role in LA. And Montgomery just got done. What did he rip off? Like an 80-yard touchdown his first play last week. So he's broken out in a big way too. And so out of those three, and they're all really good options. Don't get me wrong, but out of those three, I would have to sit Davis.
Casey, what you thinking? Out of those three, who would you sit?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Davis as well. That is a good problem to have. I know it's not the greatest problem to have when you're in the playoffs. It's better when it's the regular season, but yeah, I think that out of those options, I think that Mike Davis versus the Packers, I think they don't get off as many plays when you play the Packers as you do when you play other teams. So, quality over or quantity. Yeah, that's it. Sure.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you guys. I'm going to sit Montgomery and things. Mike Davis, Green Bay has given up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. So that's a matchup I really like. And again, Cam Akers looks to take over that backfield going up against the Jets. He's the guy that is 100% locked in for me. The other two are the ones that I would debate. But Montgomery, I don't believe, let me pull up the stats, even after he had that huge run, he didn't wind up with as good of a game as you would have liked. Let me pull it up. And Minnesota is kind of middle of the pack, so it's not a bad matchup, but it's also not a great matchup either. Yeah, he only wound up with 113 yards. So he had the 85-yard run, ended the game with 113 yards. So he didn't do a whole lot after that. I would not, if you're starting Montgomery, by all means, it's not bad. But with those two options, with the matchups that they have, for me, I'm going to sit David Montgomery. And right now, that is all the questions we have. But if you guys have any more, feel free, drop them in the chat, and we'll hop back into them. But we're going to transition into, we're going to do a little bit of rookie talk. A lot of time, most of the shows, we do my 10 things article and take a few topics from there. But I did my last one for the year last week, so it was a kind of a catch-all for the entire playoffs. So we're going to dive into some of Dan. Dan does a rookie article every week at goingfor2.com. So, Dan, I'll let you take the lead on this and with the rookie risers and fallers.
Okay, so let's start with the for the risers. I have for basically the rest of the playoffs, I have Jalen Hurts, Cam
Of course
Akers,
you do.
and then, of course I
Yeah,
do. And then Komet, the tight end from the Bears. So I was just wondering, like, what do you guys think about those three players
And
for the rest of the year?
you didn't mention you have Akers in there as well.
I did. I said
Casey, I'll let you start there. Out of those three guys, we saw everybody else will see later on that you do like Komet. So what do you got to say about those three guys? And Dan's thinking that they're going to be some risers for the rest of the fantasy playoffs.
For sure. Yeah, all three of those guys definitely top of the list when it comes to risers. I think that Komet as of late has come on, and I mean all of those guys have. Hurts being in this position though, like there's such crap on the waiver wire right now. If you were able to get Hurts in like your redraft league, for instance, I mean, more power to you. I tried, and I was trying to block somebody, it didn't happen, and they ended up with him, and now I'm like, sheesh. But yeah. Great guys. I think all of them are going to just continue to go up.
Yeah, and I'm with you there too. I like, as much as it hates me to say that I like an Eagle. The thing with Hurts is what we want out of a quarterback. He's got that floor because of running. Even though he didn't pass the ball that well, he's done what everybody wanted Carson Wentz to do. Not try to play hero ball, just be smart. He kept the offense on the field by being able to tuck and run and get first downs. Cam Akers is, I think, what everybody thought DeAndre Swift was going to be before he got hurt. He's been that Miles Sanders, how he turned it on at the end of last year. It could turn into a league winner. So, and Komet too, he's a guy that at the beginning of the season, Jimmy Graham was taking a lot of the work, but he's somebody too that if you're able to still acquire him in Dynasty, he's somebody that I think is going to have a big second year. Dan, go ahead. I know you're going to be insufferable. Let's hear it.
Oh, I think all of them can do really well for you. Obviously, we talked about Akers. He's going to do great for the rest of the playoffs, especially at the running back position. If you're able to get him kind of cheap in the middle of the year, because some people may have given up on him when they saw that they thought it was going to be a timeshare, but now that's the perfect time for him to start because this is the playoffs, and now he's going to run off, especially in this matchup against the Jets. He's going to probably win some people some weeks. Komet is, in tight end this year has been a complete disaster. So anyone that starts and has consistent points is pretty much good enough, unless you have Kelsey because Kittle's hurt. So,
although they said that he activated him from the IR this today, I believe they said he practiced. That he's not likely to play this week, but there's a chance that he could be back next week. So,
for the
final redraft league and somehow Kills out there on the waiver wire, snag him just in case you're you might have a Christmas surprise for week 16. But go ahead, Dan. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. And then, of course, you have Jalen Hurts, who everyone thought was going to be a complete bust against the best defense in football, and I think he won the game. Didn't he win the game? I thought he won the game.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you guys for winning. I really hope that your draft pick is super amazing.
That's fine. We can't possibly catch the Giants, though, so it's fine.
Let Jalen Hurts go on a nice winning streak. And,
no. We lost too much at the beginning of the season. I mean, we tied the Bengals, for Christ's sake. We can't possibly win a division. No, but seriously, it's just like you said, Jay. He just didn't make, the bad mistakes. He didn't take that stupid sack. He didn't throw that costly interception. He just played within the system. He used his legs when his first couple of reads weren't there. And that's basically all that we really needed. The defense played out of its mind. So I think, the schedule the rest of the way isn't terrible. So if you need someone with if you need a really high upside QB, then you should go with him.
Yeah, well, we'll jump in. We do have a few more questions that hop back in. Jason said happy holidays to us and right back at you. Thanks for tuning in and watching.
You too, Jason, man.
You too, dude.
We got a question from Sean from YouTube. What's up, all you awesome people? Need for full point PPR, Juju Smith-Schuster, T.Y. Hilton, Jeff Wilson Jr., Tyler Lockett, leaning Hilton and Juju. So it looks like he needs two out of those full PPR, Juju, T.Y. Hilton, Jeff Wilson Jr., and Tyler Lockett. Casey, we'll go with you on this one first. Out of those four, which two are you going to start?
My number one guy that I would start out of that list is T.Y. Hilton because of how he's been in the past versus Houston. Like, he's got their number. And I think it's just going to continue this time around as well. And then I would go with Juju as well. I think that the opportunity is going to be there for him. And I think that those two guys are going to be your best bet. I don't think that the other two are too bad of people to put in there, but I think that the two guys that I listed are the top guys.
Dan, out of those four, which two?
Yeah, I agree with Casey. I mean, T.Y. Hilton against Houston is pretty much an auto start. For some reason, he seems like, I guess they stole like their mom's cookies or something. Like, I don't know what they did to him, but every time he plays them, like, he destroys them. And I think Juju's going to get a lot more opportunity this week because Deontay Johnson can't seem to catch a ball to save his life. Like, he has a 12% drop rate, and he should be in the doghouse. So I expect Juju to have a pretty big game coming up this week, as Deontay kind of fades to the background a little bit. So I would definitely go with those two.
Yep, it's going to be a clean sweep for me. I agree with you guys. And, hard to believe with the way that Tyler Lockett started the season that he'd be the guy that we bench here. But he's only had 4 games since week 7 for 53 points, over 10 points, and hasn't had a single game over 20 points since then. So it is definitely DK Metcalf's team. And as weird as it is to say, yep, I'm going with – in 2020, I'm going with T.Y. Hilton over Tyler Lockett. Got another one from Sean. PPR, Jared Cook or Irv Smith Jr.? Dan, we'll start with you on this one. Between those two, who are you going to roll with, Jared Cook or Irv Smith?
I'm going to go with Irv Smith, actually. I think Kyle Rudolph is, I believe, injured. So Irv Smith has proven that he can, carry the load as a T1 in that offense. Chicago is terrible against T's. I think they're 26th in the league against tight ends, and Irv's coming off a big week last week. So, excuse me. So, as much as Cook is a good player, I just can't trust him right now with the quarterback situation there. So, I would go Irv Smith.
Casey, who are you going with in this situation, Cook or Smith?
I'm going to go with Cook on this one. And the reasoning for that is he's actually been playing pretty decent with the quarterback situation with Taysom Hill. I think that the last 2 games, he's had a touchdown in each one of those games. He's on the rise. He's been showing that, they can connect. So I think that's going to bleed over into this game as well. And playing the Chiefs, I think they're just going to have to play, catch up, and I think they're going to have to throw the ball. So that's why I'd go Cook.
Yeah, and it's a toss-up. I could definitely see the reasoning for starting both of these guys. They both have good matchups. But I'm going to lean with Casey on this one, and I'm going to go with Cook. Not only is it a good matchup, Kansas City gives up the 8th most points to opposing tight ends. Just the same thing, Casey's going to have to score some points. Kansas City, we all know, is definitely going to put on points just about anybody. So they're going to be and I don't care what anybody says. If you're watching the games, Taysom Hill has not looked good as a passer. He's been fine for fantasy, but he's not a quarterback. He's a tight end playing quarterback. And I saw, too, that this is the second day in a row that Michael Thomas did not practice. So pay attention to tomorrow, and especially if Michael Thomas is out, that's stock up for Jared Cook. But regardless, I'm going to go with Jared Cook. But if Michael Thomas is out, this decision gets a lot easier. And let's see, we got a question from Twitter from Derek. Aguilar, Higgins, Sterling Shepard this week. Gross, I know. I don't think it's that gross. I really like Aguilar this week. I think he's got a great matchup. I think that's pretty easy for me. I would go with Aguilar. What you guys think? Clean sweep?
Yeah, I agree. He's been looking great as of late, and that's this guy that just popped out at me.
Yeah, 100%. Especially with Ruggs being out, he's definitely going to get like a bunch more targets.
Breaking news if you guys are just tuning in. Dan broke the news possibly before Adam Schefter. We don't know. Cannot confirm that, but Ruggs is out on the COVID list. So Mr. Dan Schefter broke that earlier. But yeah, all 3 of us are going to go Aguilar on that one. Isaac Wright from YouTube wants to know one more win. This is Dan's buddy. One more win, and then it's Isaac versus David. Is that so? You guys are both in the semis in your home league, Dan?
Yeah, and we were in the finals last year where I completely destroyed him. So, I mean, that's what he's wanting this year. I'll gladly give it to him again.
Well, I am definitely pulling for Isaac. So, Isaac, I hope you guys vote.
Well, you're rooting for a Cowboy fan. How does that make you feel?
Well, if he's not you, then that's fine with me. So, we got a question from Twitter from Hamza, I apologize if I butchered your name. Yes, we have got a couple of Keenan questions, but no problem whatsoever. That's what we're here for. Keenan or Amari Cooper? And we will go to you on this one, Casey. Who would you go between those two?
Of course you would. You would go. Man, I'm still going.
Anytime with the Cowboy, I'm just going to lean to you first.
I'm straight up going to say, like, I would go Keenan Allen over Amari Cooper purely based on the fact that I trust a hobbled Keenan Allen over Amari Cooper with the quarterback situation because Andy Dalton has been all over the place. I know that Amari's been getting, a lot more looks than the other guys, but I mean, you never know if the tight end, the wide receiver, Zeke finally decides he's going to show up, like that's how I feel. I think Keenan's that dude.
Yeah, I completely agree with you too. Not only it's Andy Dalton matchup, the 49ers give up the 11th fewest fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. Cooper, you're hoping that he breaks a big play and makes you happy with a long touchdown, but you just can't trust that with Andy Dalton. So for me, pretty much it would be hard pressed for me, even a hobbled Keenan Allen, to start anybody else over him. Dan, what you think?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with both of you guys. I think it's Keenan Allen. I think it's too scattershot and doubts with the receivers. You don't know who's going to wind up with the game, whether it's Cooper, Gallup, or Lamb. So I would definitely go with Allen because he's playing.
We got a defensive question. I don't know if we've had many of these, Dan.
I don't think we have.
First
no.
one. So
yeah.
Browns defense versus the Giants, or the Washington football team defense versus Seattle? That's actually a better question. You know what? That front seven of the football team is just ridiculous. Chase Young is a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that we won that meaningless game against the Redskins last year. So we moved down and lost the chance to draft Chase Young. So that's a typical, I understand the guys are playing professionally. They want to win, but that's a situation like we were talking about. As a Giants fan, I'd rather lose that game and get the better player. But Dan, we'll roll with you on this one first. Out of those two defenses, who are you going to start? The Browns versus the Fighting Colt McCoys, or the Washington football team versus Seattle?
I'm going to go with the Browns. I understand that the Washington defensive line has like 6 first-rounders on it, but I think that Russell Wilson's mobility may negate that to an extent. So, and with Colt McCoy starting for the Giants and them not having a lot of, elite weapons on offense, to put it kindly, I think that the Browns can.
That's very kindly. We have no elite weapons on the offense.
I know. I just wanted you to say it. I think that the Browns will be a better situation to start this week.
Casey, who are you going with out of those two?
Well, I banked the Browns in a couple of my leagues just because they were on waivers, and I was like trying to hold on to them for when I got to the playoffs. But that being said, if Washington was available, I would have picked them up in a heartbeat. I think that Washington is who I'm going to lean to. I think that they're both going to put up. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. I really do think both of them are going to have pretty decent games. And right now with the state of defenses, every other week there's negative game script for everybody and negative points. And having those two consistent defenses that have looked legit over the last 4 weeks or whatever. But I'd still lean Washington though.
Yeah, that's a very good problem to have. I think they're two of the best starts of the week. I'm going to lean the Browns with Colt McCoy back there. Although he didn't look too bad, but anytime you get to go against an offense that Colt McCoy is the starting quarterback, you got Alfred Morris and Wayne Gallman coming out of the backfield. Mr. Butterfingers, Evan Ingram. Obviously, I'm not too confident in my Giants. You're really fine starting either of them. I could see, Seattle hasn't played that great. It's Russell Wilson. He can put up points on anybody, but he's had a lot of turnovers here as of late, and we know the Washington football team can get after the quarterback. So I think you're perfectly fine with either one of them. It's really a coin toss, but I lean the Browns simply because the lack of weapons on the Giants offense. We got a question from our guy, Kyle Senra, a member of Going for Two, hosts the Monday show, and he's going to have his own show coming up in January. Herbert or Ryan Tannehill? So who do the Titans play this week? I've got my schedule.
Yeah,
Lions?
Oh.
Lions.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Casey, we'll go with you on this one first. Are you going to go Mr. Herbert or Ryan Tannehill?
Man, it's this pains me to say, but I'm going to go with Ryan Tannehill on this one. Herbert, I have to start Herbert in one of my playoffs, so that's that. I mean, he hasn't been the last couple of weeks been up to quote unquote your expectations. I think Tannehill versus Detroit is just like a good game to put Tannehill in your starting lineup. I think it's just going to be one of those games where he's going to be able to throw the ball because they're giving up yardage. And Ryan Tannehill.
Dan, who do you think?
Yeah, I'm going Ryan Tannehill as well. Detroit's atrocious against quarterbacks. I think they're like 27th against quarterbacks fantasy wise. You know, half their team is hurt. They fired their coach and GM. They pretty much left it in for the year. So I think it
was a long time coming.
There was. But I think Tannehill with all his weapons healthy, we know like AJ Brown and Corey Davis are really good, and then obviously Derrick Henry's back there, so I would go with Tannehill.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make a clean sweep. The only thing that kind of scares me with Tannehill is I don't think Stafford's gonna play this week. So no Stafford, no Kenny Golladay. I could see a situation where they just let Derrick Henry run wild. I'm still gonna lean Tannehill just because the weapons that he has. I think AJ Brown's one of the best wide receivers in the league. Corey Davis has finally shown the promise that we all had for him the past couple of years. Tannehill, he's been consistent all year. He's had a couple of, clunkers, but he hasn't had a single game under double digits. He's had 4 games over 30 points. He's been a monster. So for me, Herbert, I think he's fine, and I think he'll give you a solid game, but he has hit a little bit of that rookie wall. His weapons are banged up. So for me, Tannehill's the option. And we had Sean wanted to say to us, appreciate you tuning in, Sean. He said, thanks for answering the questions and that we rock. So, Dan, I think he was talking about Casey and I. I don't think he was talking about you.
Really, you rock, Sean. Thanks for tuning in.
Appreciate you tuning in, Sean. IAE Sports Bob wants to know Cook for floor, Irv Smith for upside. Oh, I guess he was commenting. Sorry, Bob. We that comment got kind of hidden by all the other comments we have, but yeah. He's right. Cook's to floor, and I could definitely see Irv Smith having a big game for upside. Isaac Wright, Dan's buddy, wants to know, does Eno Benjamin have any value if Edmonds can't go versus the Cards this weekend? If this was a regular season, I might think about throwing him out there if you were in a dire situation, but there's no way I'm taking a chance in the playoffs.
Yep.
Dan, what you think?
No. I mean, I saw that he picked him up.
Be careful what you say unless you don't want to play him.
I saw that. I'm not playing him this week, so I don't care. I saw that he picked him up, so I knew this question was kind of coming. But I mean, with the kind of running back situation he's in, he kind of has to play him. So I mean, I figure you can give it a shot if Drake can't get all the carries. So I say play him, go for it.
All right, well, here we go. Question from Phil from Twitter, J.D. McKissick or Jeff Wilson PPR? For me, it's going to be McKissick. I like the matchup if Mostert's out with Jeff Wilson, but I would rather take the sure thing of McKissick. He's going to get the run. If we knew that Jeff Wilson was going to get all the touches, I would go with him, but I don't trust Kyle Shanahan. Casey, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going with McKissick as well, especially in PPR. I really like his spot, and I don't know. I've just been a big proponent of him this season, and got to go with that dude.
Dan?
Yeah, 100%. McKissick's saved my ass a couple of times this season, and Mostert's actually just read a report. Went back to practice today, so he's looking like he might play. So I think if he does play, that pretty much like shoots down the upside of Wilson. So I would definitely go McKissick.
Absolutely. We got another question from Twitch: Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore?
Really?
I'm gonna go Robbie Anderson. That's simply just he seemed to have more of a connection with Teddy Bridgewater than DJ Moore, although Moore has turned it on as of late. Let's see. Green Bay, too, that's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Robbie Anderson's coming off a game that he got 12 targets. So, for me, I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson. Casey, what you think?
Yeah, I've been going Robbie Anderson. I don't think I would change it up this week. I mean, like you said, the targets were there, so I would go with the volume guy right there.
Dan?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. He's had at least 6 targets in the last 5 games, so the volume's going to be there. So I would go with the guy with the saber 4, but still offers some upside in Anderson.
Our guy Phil from Twitter, I guess he's starting a joke here. Giants fan, Eagles fan, and a Cowboys fan walk into a bar. That would be interesting to see how that. And then Kyle said, in a football Washington beer glasses. In football fan Washington of beer glasses.
I think it's a football fan washing a ton of beer glasses, but he's like joking.
I gotcha.
Got that rim shot.
Kyle wants you to know, Casey, that he loves the shirt. He wants to know if a punk rock freestyle is coming at the end of the show.
I guess you'll have to wait to find out. Ooh.
Yeah, wait till the end of the show.
End of the show.
Marty wants to know, if Edmonds doesn't play, would you go with Bell or Hamler? PPR. Yeah, Hamler for me.
Yeah, I think I would go Hamler, but
You got it, Phil. No problem. Appreciate you tuning in.
De nada.
We got a question from Floyd Torres from Twitter. Full PPR, Gus, Bus, or Wilson? I also have JK. Floyd, if you are still in here, it looks just like the question came through. So are you already starting JK, and you want to know if you should do JK and Gus, Bus, or Wilson, or is it one out of those 3? We'll hold off just for a second to see if you answer our question. And Isaac said, got a jet. Love you guys and the work you put in. Good luck this week, Dan, and he'll see you in the final. Wow, appreciate that, Isaac. You've been tuning in for us.
You're the man, buddy. I'll see you there.
I'm pulling for you, Isaac. I would love to see you beat Dan this year. Anybody that beats Dan. So Floyd he's starting JK, and it's going to be between Gus, Bus, or Wilson. In that situation, if Mostert's out, I'm definitely going to go JK and Wilson. I would not, you really limit your upside, even though they both played well, and Gus is getting the red zone carries. I would not feel comfortable starting 2 running backs in the same backfield. Now, if Mostert's playing, that's a different story. Then I might think about going with both of them, especially with the matchup that they have on against the Jaguars. You could see, they show that they're not going to throw the ball, especially with Hollywood. Who all's on the COVID list now? So Hollywood, everybody but
everyone but Snead and the rookie.
Duvernay, however you say his name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Devin Duvernay.
Yeah, those are the 2 healthy guys.
What do you think? If it's already starting JK, would you go Gus, Bus, or Wilson, or what you think?
Yeah, I probably would go Gus, Bus. Yeah, just because the options there are so limited, and I know that the that COVID stuff, everybody's just like, bye. So it does feel weird. It does feel weird to start 2 guys from the same team. I usually don't like doing it, but I think in this situation I would.
Yeah, it's the right team to do that too, and it's 2020 fantasy football. It's definitely one of the weirdest seasons. I've been playing for over 20 years, and this is by far one of the weirdest seasons, and obviously one of the weirdest years of most of our lives. So,
yeah.
Dan, what do you think? Who are you going with, Gus, Bus, or Wilson?
I'm definitely going Gus, Bus. This week, especially with the entire Ravens receiving core pretty much out, I think they're just going to lean really heavily against the run, and Gus has been playing well throughout the year pretty much anyway. So I would definitely lean his way over Wilson.
Yeah, Gus is coming off a 2-touchdown game. He scored 18 points last week. Dobbins had a good game. So if you started both of them last week in a more difficult matchup, 13 points for Dobbins, 18 points for Gus. This year, if you can get double digits out of both your running backs, you are more than happy with one of them, getting close to 20 points. Yeah, so you know what? I think that changed my mind. I think no matter, even if Mostert's in, I think I'm going to go with Gus, Bus, and JK.
I mean, yeah, because I mean, and it was a situation like that in New Orleans a few, years back,
Okay.
and we didn't have a problem at all doing that. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. So we'll get back to our rookies. Dan, do you want to go to the followers, or do you want to hop on to the guys we're excited about?
Yeah, let's move on to the ones we're excited about. So for this one, it's name a 2020 a rookie that was a player that was a rookie this year that you're excited about for next year.
Casey, we'll start with you on this one. Who's a rookie from this year that you're excited about for next year?
for sure, we talked about Kmet earlier, but Cole Kmet is somebody that I'm really interested in and excited about. Mainly because he's been a stash option in dynasty leagues. You could get him for a nice round and hold on to him. And the last few weeks he's come on, especially with Jimmy Graham not being as involved. And I just looked at the landscape of tight ends right now, and in general, like the last however many years, it's been just all over the place. And to have a consistent dude, I'm excited for 2021 for him.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kmet too, and I could see him having a second year like TJ Hawkinson has.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, who are you excited for from 2020 for the 2021 season?
This is a little bit deep or die, but it's going to be a Quintez Cephas from Detroit. I think that everyone was really high on him until he ran his 40 in the 4.7 range, and then people kind of just like, oh, he's slower than a lot of linebackers, and kind of threw him in the garbage bin. But he's proven that he's played faster with his time. He's a solid football player. There's no other – all the wide receivers for Detroit are going to be free agents next year, so you pretty much are dealing with Hawkinson and no one else. He's going to be the only guy on the roster that's signed. So even if they bring in a free agent or two or draft another receiver, I think there's going to be a spot for him. He's going to get a starting spot. He could probably take over the Marvin Jones title of really boring receiver that people play because they don't want to, but he puts up 11 and 12 points anyway.
Yeah, I like that too. And even if Golladay resigns, like you said, he can take over that Marvin Jones role and have a lot of value in that offense. If anybody knows me, they will not be surprised by my choice whatsoever.
No!
I'm tired of hearing of this guy. I have an unhealthy love for Laviska Shenault Jr. He is one of my favorite rookies in this class, and I'm just excited to have somebody other than Gardner Minshew, Jake Luton, and Mike Glennon throwing him the ball. He's got the third highest out of all the rookie wide receivers. He has the third highest quarterback passer rating when he's targeted, only behind Claypool and Justin Jefferson. Like I said, he was looking really good at the beginning of the season. They were getting him involved in a lot of different ways. Kyle said he thought I would say J-Jaw, but no, that's Dan.
Considering he outscored him the last game he played.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. Unless there's some way, which it doesn't look like they back into Trevor Lawrence, it looks like that they'll most likely go with Landry Fields, and having somebody who can actually throw him the ball. Let me pull up the stat real quick. He's got one of the fifth lowest. I meant to pull this up earlier. Where is it? Yeah. There's only 5 wide receivers in the league that have an average depth of target below 6 yards. Deebo Samuel, Juju, Larry Fitzgerald, Greg Ward, and Laviska Shenault. So it'll be nice to have somebody who actually can throw the ball downfield to him. He can play all over the field. He's explosive. Like I said, if anybody knows me, they know I am a big Laviska Shenault fan. He is in my Twitter header. I talk about him probably every show, so he's somebody that I think is going to really take a huge step forward with a big difference in the quarterback position next year than what they got going on this year. Dan, any comments on my guy, Laviska?
Nope.
Casey, what do you think about Laviska Shenault? You like him? He's a very polarizing guy. Some people like him, some people don't.
I think I'm kind of indifferent. I know that's kind of boring, but whatever. I see. If I have him,
make up something. So.
Yeah, seriously, he's one of those guys. Yeah, I'm just like, whatever. He could go off. He could not. I don't know. We'll see.
See that, Jay? Whatever. No one
Whatever.
cares. No one cares.
I mean, his mom cares.
We're like the Colts. There's a Laviska Shenault fan club out there. My guy, Jesse, Mike Fiella, your FF coach. There's Bo. There's a bunch of us out there that love Laviska, and we'll see.
Just making up names.
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, Jim Bob and John Doe, and there's
John
dozens
Doe.
of us. Yeah. So we're gonna roll on to the rookies from next year's class that you're most looking forward to. And Dan, we'll start with you on this one. Who's going to be a rookie next year? Are you excited about?
I'm looking at Kyle Pitts for next year. He's a tight end. Plays in Miami. I think he's going to be the TE1 coming out. He's already getting comparisons to George Kittle. I think he's the next great athletic.
You see Ray GQ talking about him every single day, multiple times a day. As soon as you say that name, that's the first guy that I think of.
Yeah, he has great speed. He has great route running, great hands, and great vertical. So there's really nothing wrong with him. He can't block worth a damn, but honestly, who cares? No, tight ends don't block anymore anyway.
Right.
So
they're basically big wide receivers at this point.
Right. And tight end being the way it is now with Kelsey getting up there in age, we're kind of looking for the next generation of tight ends that we can count on in fantasy. I think he's going to be one of the guys that leads the way going into the future.
Casey, who are you excited for next year?
Well, Kyle Pitts was who I was excited about. But I went with another tight end.
Sorry.
No, I'm a big fan of tight ends in general, and even if they suck, it's just my thing. But Brevin Jordan was another tight end that I'm pretty interested in. I'm not a big know-all about college and draft classes and all that jazz, but from my limited knowledge, he's a guy that I watched and have seen him do some pretty awesome stuff, be pretty reliable for the quarterback position. He just has to stay healthy. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I'm not huge on college football. I'm a Duke fan, so I don't have a lot to cheer for when it comes to college football. I know the bigger names and stuff like that. I'll watch the big games. I'll probably watch Notre Dame and Clemson this weekend. But for me, one guy that I've heard a lot about and could potentially be the third wide receiver to win the Heisman. I don't think it happens, but he's definitely in the running, is Devonte Smith from Alabama. He leads college football in receiving yards with 1,327. Second receiving touchdowns of 15. He's had 11 touchdowns over his last 5 games. Teams that are going to be drafting early, the Eagles, Chargers, Dolphins. I've even saw some mock drafts where he winds up with the Giants, which that's what I think we desperately need an alpha wide receiver. We've got a bunch of wide receiver twos, and I love Sterling Shepard, but he's not an alpha. The last time we were any good, we had some guy named Odell Beckham Jr. Head case, but he was a stud. But that's something that I would love to see him on. Tua throwing him the ball, or Herbert. Imagine a team with Smith and Keenan Allen. That would just be unreal. So I do not want to see him on the Eagles, but that could potentially happen as well.
You don't want to see Hurts throwing to Devonte Smith? That's not nice.
No, you mean Carson Wentz? I think you mumbled a little bit.
Carson Wentz is going to be in Indy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I could definitely see Carson Wentz going to Indy. We'll see.
Also, real quick, Kyle Pitts.
So we're going to roll on.
Florida, not Miami. I made a mistake. I apologize.
That's all right. So we're going to roll on to our Call Your Shot that we've done every year, all year. The first time you tune into the show. Yeah. So Dan and I and everyone, but whoever, these are basically bold calls. And if you got it right, you got a point. If you didn't, if you got it wrong, you didn't get one. So Dan is up by 3. This is our last show. So Dan has won, and he will get to choose and design my Twitter avatar for the entirety of the playoffs. So if you see something, well, not if. Yeah, congratulations.
Congratulations, Dan. You deserve it.
Sunshine, dog butt every now and then. You know that. But I will be a gracious loser. I will definitely take my punishment like Troy has done so many times when it comes. Yep, that's right. Marty talking about Plaxico. You never know. Maybe it could be next JJ. Yeah, you're probably right. It might be JJ. It's probably going to be
That's
something.
Right, Kyle. That's right.
Yeah. But we're still going to do our picks for this week just because it's been fun, and maybe I can get a little more respectable and get within 2 instead of 3. So Casey, we'll start with you. What's a bold call, a bold-ish call for this week?
Okay. Well, you were talking about Evan Ingram earlier not being able to catch a football. Okay. It might be a little so that's why this might be a little out there. But I say Evan Ingram's going to have a great week this week. I think he's going to be a top top 8 guy. The Browns get scored on by tight ends. I mean, 9 touchdowns by tight ends. So I think that Ingram's probably going to add to that this week.
Yeah, I do like Ingram when it comes to this week, especially with the matchup. Let me ask you this, both you guys. I've got a decision in my losers bracket. Unfortunately, my home league, I had a bad year, but we do a punishment for last place. So I am in the punishment bracket, so I need to win this week. Do you guys go with Eric Ebron or Ingram in the tight end position? I had Kittle, but he unfortunately was one of my many injuries this year.
Who did the Steelers play?
Steelers play. Let's take a look at the schedule. See, he's got a good matchup too.
Yeah,
Because I know,
Ebron.
Yeah, I'd go Ebron. I was big on Ebron at the beginning of the year. I shot my shot with him. So hopefully that comes back to be a good decision.
Yeah, that's the way I would lean. And and Kyle agrees with us. If Daniel Jones was in there, it might be a little bit bigger question, but with Colt McCoy starting, it's likely starting that it makes the decision a little easier for me. Dan, we'll go to you. And first off, congratulations. You won this year. We're definitely going to have to do, once we get to the new show, we'll figure out something similar to do. But who is your pick for, or you said go with Stonehands? That's really either of them. You could call both of them.
Yeah,
Stonehands is Ebron. Butterfingers is Ingram. But you can use that name for either one of those guys. But,
there you go.
Dan, what is going to be your pick for this week?
So I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor. I think he has a great matchup this week in Houston, and I'm saying he's going to be running back number 1 this week in terms of PPR scoring.
Now you can get really bold since it doesn't matter. But
it doesn't matter. I could say whatever I want. Yeah. Dak Prescott's going to score 50 points. It doesn't matter because I already won.
Yeah, well, I like that call too. I definitely think that Jonathan Taylor is in this matchup. He's looked really good as of late, and hopefully people didn't completely give up on him because he's another guy that could lead you, another rookie that could lead you to a title, and that's going to roll into mine. I'm going to say Cam Akers keeps it going against the Jets and has another 20-point game. He's another one that has gotten hot at the right time, and I actually was able to pick him up in that league. It's not a redraft. It's not a dynasty. It's a keeper league. So it's 10 teams. It's kind of shallow, but he got dropped and I picked him up, and it's auction league. So I'll be able to keep him for cheap. So I'm excited about that. I'll get to start him and hopefully not have to do the punishment for our league this year. So with that being said, we don't have any other questions. That's pretty much all the content we wanted to go over. Casey, I wanted to say thank you for coming on the show with us. We really appreciate it. You making time, wrapping up the season. Sure. And I don't know where Dan decided to go, but just you for now. Here we go. He must have got disconnected. Let me pick him back up. So Dan, there we go. You back?
Welcome back, Dan.
Everybody here. Welcome back.
Thank you.
What we like to do when we have our guests on is, we like to, similar to what you do, get a little more personality. We all interact on Twitter and stuff like that, but we just want to get to know a little more about you. What is an interesting fact about you that the fantasy football community may not know?
Well, I won't bring up freestyle rapping because everybody knows that now.
Which, if you would like to, with Kyle said, if you want to, no pressure, but by all means, the floor is yours if you want to.
No, let me just tell you a different interesting fact.
Okay.
We'll save that for a rainy day. Speaking of rainy days, here we go. Last year, we went to Italy for our honeymoon, and we were actually in Venice when it had the really, 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 really horrible flooding that they hadn't seen in forever. So it was just a crazy experience. So yeah, I was there for a very short time, and then we were like, all right, we got to just move on to Milan. So.
Yeah, oh man, I'm sure that you have pictures or anything like that of the craziness.
Yeah, I do actually. I have pictures of us just with the water, we had to buy booties while we were there to go up to our knees because our clothes were getting soaked. They had these risers that you could walk across, but they were slippery as all, so you had to be really careful. We weren't prepared at all. We didn't know. And the lady that because we had an Airbnb, so the lady's like, there's gonna be a high tide, and it only happens every now and then, but it won't be that big of a deal. It'll probably just be a couple inches of water. It was not a couple inches of water. I mean, their businesses were out with buckets, just it sucks. The whole city just shut down.
Crazy.
That's nuts. See, I went to Nashville for a work conference a few years ago, and they had, I think it was a hurricane, and they had some terrible flooding too. And we stayed at the Opryland Hotel, and literally they put a line where it was flooded, and it had to be a good 150 feet, like literally completely filled up the hotel. So I could only imagine actually being there when something like that was happening. It just had to be unreal.
It's so, and the sirens were like really freaky and eerie and stuff, and like it was just like you couldn't even walk.
Plus, being in a different country and all that's going on, just had to be.
Yeah, we were trying to find food. Like
good time, your honeymoon.
We left like 2 days late because we went to drink prosecco and have a good time. We came back, and that's when all the crap started. The next morning, we're like, all right, we're just gonna eat our money.
Damn. All right, thank goodness you guys are all okay.
Yeah.
And then the final question that we ask everybody on the show. Michael Jordan is going to win, but we're still going to ask. The vote is 11-3. Who is the greatest of all time between Michael Jordan and LeBron James?
You know, I'm not going to try to be funny and say, like, I don't know, Wilt Chamberlain or something off the top of my head. I'm gonna go with Jordan on this one. I mean, just based on my age and growing up, like Jordan was the dude. So like that memory is just gonna be embedded in my head. And I'm not as into basketball right now, and Jordan was just a dude, yo.
How old are you?
37. Well, I will be 37.
Okay, I'm 34. So. Okay. Yeah, I'm 34. Dan, you're 34 too, right? So we're all grew up at that age where we all got to see, and that's what the 3 votes that we had for LeBron were younger guys in their 20s that they
didn't know what they were talking about.
So one guy Yeti's like, oh well, Michael Jordan played against plumbers and stuff like that, and yeah, that ain't gonna have no clue. Didn't watch in the 90s. I'm not as big into basketball as I used to be, but don't mean to cover up your face, but I did want to throw this out here. Kyle said Thursday. There you go. Thursdays with fantastic with Jay and Dan. Always bring a great guest and just enough rivalry and energy to keep it interesting. Thank you, Kyle. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Casey. You were one of those great guests.
Thank you.
Closing up the show with us. This is our last show known as Thursday War Room Live. Like we were talking about earlier, we're rebranding the show at the beginning of the year. We're going to call it a podcast with upside. We're going to start off we're going to go division by division, and we're not going to do your general, MVP, breakout stuff like that. It's going to be more of a what went right, what went wrong, and go over a couple of guys, things like that. But start back up on January 14th. Casey, for those who were not on when the show started, just tell everybody where they can find you.
Alrighty, you guys can find me on Twitter at the Casey Kasem. I am a writer for the Fantasy Footballers as well as Fighting Chance Fantasy. I have a podcast called Get Real with Casey Kasem that you can find on all platforms.
Which is awesome. It's a great listen. If you want something just to change it up, if we all listen to podcasts and stuff and you just want something different, it's people from I'll let you describe it, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the show.
Thank you. I mean, this is like my little baby right now. It's so awesome because I get to talk to all these fantasy football people in the industry, whether they're big names, smaller names, whatever. I say we, it's me. I've had Matt Harmon's been on. I've interviewed Andy Behrens. That's going to come out soon. TJ Hernandez. Charch is going to be the next one that drops. And I had Peter Howard last night. So, I mean, it's just a bunch of really rad people. And I just get to kind of get a behind the scenes look at, their life, how they came up in the industry, how they managed to have a dang life and play fantasy football, because I can't figure that one out. So I ask every single guest that comes on.
I know what you mean. Trying to find that balance is definitely interesting.
So it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. I'm really excited about it. And Matthew Berry's going to be on sometime in the future too. So that's going to be
Yeah, and the first episode you had with Outhouse was the first one, right?
Yes,
and
sir.
That was, I think I tweeted about it. It was really, this is me and Dan. We're still babies in this field, and this is our 15th episode. We kind of just growing as we go along, and it was awesome to hear somebody who's as established as he is to going through the same things, the same emotions, the same thoughts that we're going through. Right. So it's cool, for not only for people who just want to listen, but people who are content creators that are just getting started. We're all human and we're all going through the same types of things, and it's nice to hear other people going through the same type of thing. So that's just really kind of hit home with me.
100%. I mean, yes, it's for everybody. My sister listens to it, and she's not really into like fantasy football like we are, and she's still like, oh man, Outhouse, that dude, I want to like actually meet him. He sounds like such a cool dude. So let's not feed his ego. Let's not feed his ego.
Once coronavirus is gone, I can't wait to do some of these meetups, and I haven't gone to any of those yet. I've only been 2 years into the whole content creation thing, so not too big until this year. And I definitely want to do. I think you've been to some of them, haven't you? Because they're in Texas, right?
There was one in Texas. It was not the greatest thing in the world, but I did get to meet like Liz Loza and Debro and all of those homies. Awesome. And then they turned it into like a convention, like a sports cards trading and all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't really and now it's defunct. I guess there's some drama behind all of that. But I was going to go to the Midwest Fantasy Expo, Bob Long and everything.
Bob Long put that on, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's a little closer. So I'm definitely, when everything calms down, definitely going to try to do something like that. And I know I write for Sleeper Wire as well, and I know they put on some stuff as well too. Some draft night out. Like that.
Oh yeah, I did one of those actually in Dallas when they were here. So yeah.
Yeah, and apparently Kyle went. He said the Midwest show was amazing in 2019. So yeah, hopefully 2021 we'll all get together and hang out. And Marty, my guy Marty, who's watched, I'm pretty sure he's watched every show with us. Just said happy holidays, great show. Appreciate you, Marty, for always tuning in, always being involved. He's a great guy. And he's actually going to start writing for Going for Two as well. He hasn't yet. He's going to do some IDP stuff for us as well. So be on the lookout for that. Dan, tell everybody where they can find you and your work.
You can find me at EagleDanFF on Twitter. I have been running a rookie column for this year. Starting next year, I will be the Dynasty lead writer for Going for Two in the revamp. Just wanted to say it's been a pleasure, working with you, Jay, and having all our great guests. Casey, I thank you so much for coming on, and all our people for commenting, Kyle and Marty and stuff with his Wilt Chamberlain and everything. But it's been a great time. We did this show kind of, we're just kind of throwing together, just saying two guys raising their hands, saying, hey, let's do a show, and I think it's turned out really good. And I can't wait to see what the future has. Also, road trip.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt. And yeah, you said it all, Dan. It's been a lot of fun. This is we're kind of learning as we go. I did the first episode from the beach with just my laptop and sitting in front of a bed, but we're getting there. It's taking some time. But we are very, very appreciative of not only the guests. We've had some real great guests. You, Casey, Adam Ronis came on, Chris Meany, some of the I hate saying lesser known, but some of the smaller accounts. Troy King. Although everybody knows Troy these days, Mike Fiala, we had Cooter Doodle, we had Linda. There's many others that I'm forgetting, but we're just so appreciative of everybody giving us their time to come on our show. It really means the world. And just everybody, tuning in. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what's next. So I am also, I write for Sleeper Wire. I do a start sit. I'll be doing those this week and next week, and I do a 10 things column at Going for Two, but I did my last one of the season this past week. Like Dan said, we're doing a revamp at the site. I'm going to be the lead redraft writer, so be on the lookout. We're going to definitely, it's a slower time in the off season for redraft, but we'll be doing some mock drafts and some guys to keep an eye on, some guys you don't want to forget about from this season, stuff like that. And one other thing I always like to say, if you have a guy that's playing on Thursday night, be sure to get him out of your flex. Especially with COVID, where guys can just like Ruggs tonight, like out of the blue, they can be put on the COVID list and out. You want that added flexibility by having the flex spots open. So again, thank you, Casey, so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. For Dan and I, thank you all for watching the show this season, and be on the lookout. We will be back, although we are doing a Going for Two Christmas special next Tuesday, right, Dan? Tuesday, 9 o'clock, I believe.
Yeah, 22nd.
Yep, the 22nd. But other than that, Dan and I will be back with some great guests starting on January 14th. Appreciate everybody. Happy holidays and good luck in your fantasy matchups.
Good luck, everyone.